that you are living without boundaries, because I've realized that one of the major pitfalls of the average believer is understanding boundaries and understanding boundaries as a young minister and even in ministry. This is extremely expedient. I'm not going to spend so much time here. I'm just going to do for like 10 minutes because the full video is going to be on the Instagram live. But I just wanted to put it out here. So one of the major signs that you are living without boundaries is that you are always tired, but you are never growing. Have you ever been in that space where you are doing ministry, serving the Lord, doing so much for God, but one way or the other, you just find yourself extremely exhausted every time. You are exhausted one way or the other, and it just feels like you're never growing. You never find yourself, effective in the study of the Word of God. You never find yourself, effective off the microphone in prayer. This is one of the signs that you're living without boundaries. Number two major sign that you're living without boundary is that you are emotionally entangled with someone you are mentoring. This is a very, very important thing. If you find yourself extremely entangled or entangled in any way with somebody that you are mentoring, then it's proof or it's a sign that you are living without boundaries. Now, listen, one of the greatest weapons in the hand of the enemy is the believer that has no boundaries, even the minister that has no boundaries. Listen, a minister without boundaries can bring down 1,000 men. A minister without boundaries would feed on his flock. Because the truth is that if you have no boundaries, you will see the sheep as food. You will not see the sheep as God's people. You will see the sheep as chicken, as feed for yourself. So this is one of the major signs that you are living without boundaries. You are emotionally entangled with somebody that you are mentoring. And I'd always say this: if you find yourself mentoring somebody, or a lady or a guy, as a lady you're mentoring a guy, or a guy you're mentoring a lady that you're emotionally entangled with, it is best you put, in fact, I don't even advise, if you're still struggling, that you should be mentoring somebody close up. That's very, very messed up. It can be a pathway, in fact a doorway for the enemy in your life. And another major way, another sign that you're living without boundaries is that you feel the pressure. Listen, you feel pressure to impress. You don't have a burden to grow. You have a major burden to impress people. You're under pressure. You're restless. I mean, you find yourself effortlessly scrolling online consistently. There's no boundaries in ministry. There's no caution. You find yourself effortlessly scrolling every time. One of the things that does to you is that you see yourself, comparing yourself with other people. You find out that you're just restless anyhow, and it doesn't give any room rather for growth. So if you find that you have that impulse, that pressure to impress people, that pressure to want to be like other people, then you need to be very careful, extremely, extremely careful. It's a sign that you are living without boundary. It's a major sign, major, major sign. Then another one is that another sign that you're living without boundary as a young minister or as a minister is that you haven't said no to ministry in a year, but your personal life is dry. This is so key. You've not said no to ministry in a year, but your personal life is dry. There's no boundary. Boundaries is not just ladies or guys. Boundaries in ministry is ability to be able to say no, especially when you know that your spiritual life is emaciated, dry, weak, or it's not growing. This is very, very key. If you find out that these are the things that are disqualifying you in your intimacy with the Lord, where you can no longer say no to invitations, you can no longer say no to showing yourself online, preaching everywhere, you need to be careful. It is one major sign that your personal life is dry and you lack boundaries. All right. Listen, the devil does not need to disqualify you instantly. I say this all the time. It doesn't need to disqualify you instantly. All it needs to do is just gradually bleed your integrity dry. I mean, it will bleed you so much that you no longer, unchecked access. You bleed you that dry. You just gradually bleed your integrity dry through unchecked access. That's one of the major things that he would do. So you need to be extremely cautious and very, very careful. Very careful. All right. Um, I used to say this, that busyness is not fruitfulness. The fact that you are busy is not fruitfulness. We can be busy doing the wrong thing. You can be busy, focusing on where God has not sponsored. You can be busy running a race that God is not in. Busyness is not fruitfulness. Availability without discernment will lead to burnout and bitterness. Availability without discernment will lead to burnout and bitterness. This is extremely important. You need to be very, very careful. You don't need to be everywhere. Sometimes you need to withdraw. Jesus withdrew often. You can't be everyone's emergency contact and still have the power to do so much for God, even in the secret place. It's extremely important. I say this with all the love that I can muster. You cannot be everybody's emergency contact rather, and still be effective in your personal walk with the Lord. You need to be able to say no often, and you need to be able to withdraw often. The fact that you're in ministry does not mean you must lay your life for everybody. There has to be boundaries. There has to be caution. Like I said earlier, boundaries in ministry is not just lust or sex. Boundaries in ministry is knowing when to say no even to yourself, and saying no to being too everywhere at the expense of your walk with the Lord or the expense of your soul. The devil can open many doors for you and you're thinking you're flying, but you're just dying. So this is extremely important. Extremely important. All right. One of the things I always say is that your gifts can take you where your soul hasn't been trained to survive. Your gifts can take you where your soul has not been trained to survive. That's why boundaries they are the gym of the soul. They're the gym of the soul. So you have to be very, very careful. These boundaries, it's protection, it's not prison. Boundaries are not prison, they are protection. That's why you need to have boundaries as a believer, boundaries as a young minister. You can't hug everybody anyhow. You can't show yourself to everybody every time. Anything that is precious, many a times, is always hidden. It's not always available, and it's not because you're proud. It's because you are guarding something precious. All right, you are guarding something precious. You cannot always be available to everybody. I'll say it again. Boundaries in ministry is not just touching ladies or just touching with guys or knowing when to tell them don't come near me. No. It's also knowing when to say no to invitations, knowing when to say no to being available for everybody and everywhere. I'll say it again, you cannot be everybody's emergency contact at the expense of your soul. You have to be extremely cautious, especially when you know that there's a dryness going on in your soul. You need to be cautious. This is extremely important. I cannot overemphasize this. Busyness, I'll say it again, busyness is not fruitfulness, especially when you're in disalignment, especially when your soul can no longer call out to the one you love. Be very cautious. Be very, very, very cautious. Thank you so much. You can see the full video on Instagram Live. I'm going to be teaching extensively on this on the Instagram Live. All right, God bless you. So all 12 of you can join me on Instagram Live in the next 1 minute. God bless you. I'll save this video also for those of you who saw something or heard something and you want to repeat it. God bless you. Thank you very much. All right.